A door slams. A woman stands over a wheelchair looking down at her son. He hasn't moved or spoken in years. She is exhausted, broken. She leans in close, tears in her eyes, and whispers 3 words. "You must die." She didn't say it out of hate. She said it because she thought he was gone, an empty shell, a vegetable, but she was wrong. Martin heard her. He was right there, trapped behind a wall of frozen flesh, screaming, "I'm here! Mom, I'm here!" But not a single sound came out. This is the story of the Ghost Boy, a man locked inside his own corpse for 12 years. And honestly, I don't know how anyone survives that. Let's rewind. South Africa, 1988. Martin Pistorius is 12 years old. He's a normal kid. He loves electronics, fixes plugs, builds things. Then, one day in January, he comes home from school with a sore throat. It sounds mundane, doesn't it? But it wasn't a cold, it was an erasure. He stopped eating. He started sleeping all day. His muscles wasted away. The doctors were baffled. They treated him for tuberculosis, for meningitis, but nothing worked. Within 18 months, the boy who fixed electronics was gone. He was mute, wheelchair-bound, functionally an infant. The diagnosis? There wasn't one. The doctors told his parents, Rodney and Joan, the brutal truth: take him home to die. They said his mind was gone. They predicted he had 2 years left. But Martin didn't die. He just existed. For 2 years, he slept in a dark fog. But around age 16, something impossible happened. He woke up. It wasn't cinematic. It was a slow, terrifying clarity, like a camera lens finally finding focus. He realized those twisted, unmoving hands belonged to him. He saw the world. He recognized Nelson Mandela becoming president. He watched Princess Diana's funeral. His mind had booted back up. He was 16 again, but his body didn't get the memo. He tried to talk. Nothing. He tried to move. Stone. He was suffering from locked-in syndrome. Complete paralysis, except for the eyes. But nobody knew. Everyone had already mourned him. To them, he was furniture. This is where the story gets heavy. Because when people think no one is watching, they show their true selves. Martin became the invisible witness. His parents worked, so he spent his days at a care center. The staff thought he was brain dead, so they didn't filter themselves. They would undress him, wash him, and discuss their secrets right in front of him, as if he weren't there. But neglect thrives in silence. Martin remembers the mistreatment. He remembers the rough handling. Some of the staff treated him less like a patient and more like an object. If he struggled to eat, or if his body rejected the food, they didn't stop. They forced him to finish, ignoring his distress, pushing him past his physical limits. Can you imagine the frustration? Fully conscious, humiliated, unable to even cry out? And then there was the mental torment. The staff would park Martin in front of a television for hours, every single day. And they always put on the same thing: Barney and Friends. That purple dinosaur, endlessly looping. Martin hated it. He wanted to scream, to beg them to change the channel, but he couldn't. To survive, he escaped. Not physically, but mentally. He learned to disassociate. He imagined he was shrinking down, small enough to climb into a spaceship and fly away. He watched the sunlight move across the floor. He learned to tell time just by the angle of a shadow. That shadow was his clock. It told him when the isolation would end, when his father would come. His father, Rodney, is the unsung hero here, while his mother, Joan, was consumed by guilt, to the point of wishing him dead just to end his suffering. Rodney never stopped. He got up every night, every 2 hours, to turn Martin so he wouldn't get bed sores, for 12 years. But even Rodney didn't know his son was in there. Martin was buried alive. He eventually stopped trying to signal them. He gave up. He accepted he would be a silent observer until his body finally gave out. And then, in 2001, the universe finally blinked. A woman named Verna van der Walt started working at the center. She wasn't a doctor. She was an aromatherapist. Maybe that's why she saw him. She wasn't looking at charts. She was looking at him. She felt a presence. Most people looked through Martin. Verna looked at him. She noticed his eyes tracking her, not randomly, intentionally. She did something nobody had done in a decade. She looked him in the eye and asked, "Can you hear me?" She became convinced. "He's in there," she told the parents. You can imagine the skepticism. "He's brain dead. Don't give us false hope." But Verna pushed. She got them to take Martin to the University of Pretoria for testing. This was the climax of a 12-year silent war, July 2001. Martin is strapped into his chair. A researcher named Shakila holds up a sheet with symbols, a ball, a dog. She asks him to look at the ball. Pause for a second. Think about how easily you move your eyes. For Martin, moving his eyes on command was like lifting a heavy weight. His brain knew what to do, but the pathways were rusty. He focused every ounce of his will. Look at the ball. And he did. Then they made it harder. They hooked up a switch to his headrest, the computer screen with a scanning light. He had to hit the switch with his head when the light landed on a picture of a tap. The light moved, slowly, closer to the tap. Martin waited. His heart must have been pounding. If he misses this, they send him back to the care center, back to Barney, back to the silence, forever. The light hits the tap. Martin throws everything he has into his neck muscles, a spasm of effort. Click. He stopped it. Well done, Martin. Proof. After 12 years, he wasn't a ghost, he was a boy. The floodgates opened. His mother, the woman who had whispered, "You must die," was crushed by the realization that he had heard her. But Martin didn't hold a grudge. He felt compassion. He understood her pain. Recovery wasn't magic. It was a grind. Martin had to learn everything again. Reading, writing, communicating. He started with a spelling board, then a computer that tracked his eyes, then a device like Stephen Hawking's. But the most beautiful part? He clawed his way back into the world. He got a job. He started working with computers, his childhood passion. He wrote a book, and life, in its strange, poetic way, gave him everything he had missed. In 2008, he met a woman named Joanna online. He was honest with her. He told her about the wheelchair, the voice synthesizer, the years of silence. She didn't run. She flew to be with him. They got married in 2009, and in 2018, the man who was supposed to die at 14, the man who was told he had the mind of a baby, held his own son, Sebastian, in his arms. Martin Pistorius spent 12 years in a box, a dark, silent box where the only entertainment was a purple dinosaur and the movement of shadows. He could have come out of that box bitter. He could have been broken by the mistreatment, the neglect, the sheer unfairness of it all. But he didn't. He chose to live. His story terrifies me, honestly. It reminds us how fragile our connection to the world is. One sore throat, one short circuit in the brain, and you are locked in. But it also makes me wonder, when you walk down the street, when you pass someone in a wheelchair, or someone who can't speak, or someone who seems not there, do you look through them, or do you look at them? Because there might be a whole universe locked inside, just waiting for someone to notice, just waiting for someone to say, "I see you."